sources tell him that he talked on the phone to Rezko every day. Well, then when they pinned him down, then he backtracks and jumbles around. When you're reading it, you can tell he's, caught like a deer in the headlights. That, well, maybe during campaigns or something I might have talked to him every day, but otherwise we were fond of each other, but there'd be no reason for us to talk every day and stuff. But that is not what he put out in the media and in interviews like with Tim Russert and stuff. Like they were just casual acquaintances.
Now, one of the things that keeps coming up is this quotation from Obama. Rezko never asked me to do anything. He never wanted favors.
Right.
As I understand it, Rezko got about $100 million from the government of Illinois and Chicago, allegedly to rehabilitate these slum properties. Is that about right?
Right, exactly. Through the 90s. This is just what's so ridiculous for the mainstream media not to be picking up on this, because he's made these outrageous statements. Rezko never asked him to do anything. But yet, it comes out in the media then that how he went down to that big dinner. In fact, it comes out during the trial, 2 dinners for that Iraqi-born billionaire, Mohammed Achi, that ended up investing with Rezko in that big development down in Chicago, Riverside Park, and that he went to this Four Seasons Club when he was running for the U.S. Senate now. And he went to there, and it was to influence these foreign businessmen to invest money with Rezko. Well, all in the media, he keeps saying he don't even remember meeting Achi, And then during the trial, the main witness comes out, and everybody always thought they were talking about one dinner at the Four Seasons Club in Chicago that Obama didn't remember. Well, it comes out that this guy says, well, the party he's talking about was another dinner at Rezko's house, and that Obama and his wife were there for this Achi. Well, then Obama comes out and says he don't remember even being there either, him or his wife. This is just, it's unbelievable. And yes, this guy wasn't even allowed in this country. He's a crook. He was convicted in France. People are asking, how did he get in this country to begin with? Well, they wanted him to invest, these Middle Eastern investors, to invest in Chicago real estate. And that's really what Fitzgerald started investigating to begin with, these real estate transactions in the Chicago area, and with a focus on Riverside Park. So that's why in my articles I say that the downfall is going to be, in my opinion, his boneheaded mistake of that stupid buying that mansion right in the middle of all this, and Rezko at that point was stone cold broke, we now know. Broke. He could not have funded. He could not have gotten the money to buy that lot at that point. And I firmly believe, in fact, that he didn't want to do it probably at that point, but that Obama somehow got him to, because all the creditors were on him, searching for his littlest assets. They're trying to put a lien on a bank account that's got like $1,300 in it. So for Obama to buy that mansion and that lot and put it in a secret land trust, when Rezko had no money. And so then it came out that the month before that, Achi had lent Rezko $3.5 million. Well, then it was reporters in London that wrote about that is this where the money came from for that mansion? And I think that Fitzgerald is looking at that money that came the month before they bought that mansion, when supposedly Rezko had no money and his creditors had judgments against him and were looking for his assets. And he hid this lot, this asset, by putting in his wife's name with a secret land trust with Obama. Now, in Obama's interview with the Sun-Times and the Tribune, he claims he never even knew the lot was in Rita Rezko's name, that he only learned that when it came out in the newspaper. Now, I don't know about you. If I'm buying a lot and a house worth $2 million, I'm going to know when I'm signing the paper whose name that lot is in.
Well, you go to the closing and they're sitting there usually, right?
Well, right. But see, Rezko couldn't have got a loan. He was in hock up to his butt. And like I said, the creditors were after him even for a lousy bank account with $1,300 in it. So how they scammed this, I don't know. But I think that $3.5 million that Rezko got the month before they closed on that mansion and that lot is something to do with it.
Hang on 1 second. We've got a hard break coming up. We'll be right back with Evelyn Pringle. Fascinating analysis of the Rezko-Ouchi-Al-Samari axis. Back to World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley here in Washington. We're talking to Evelyn Pringle, one of the best, if not the best, in absolute terms, authors on the Chicago corruption background of Obama, the nefarious Illinois Combine. Her articles are to be seen at opednews.com, Scoop of New Zealand, and Rezko Watch. Now, you were talking about Nadhmi Ouchi. This guy was involved in the $700 or $800 million stolen from the French national oil company Elf Aquitaine, which makes him a convicted felon. And we've also got Al-Samari. Maybe you want to say something about Al-Samari, the former electricity minister of Iraq, who somehow fits into the Chicago Combine as well.
Yeah, I have to say, when I got to that part where I ran into Al-Samari, that's when my stomach just got sick. Because that's what led me to what I call the end subplot in all this, and that's Rezko's involvement in war profiteering in Iraq, and Obama's knowledge of it, and his support of it, okay? And it was like, I think when I hit there, it was like, my God, this is no different. I was worried up until that time about the Illinois Combine spreading their corruption throughout the United States with Obama in the White House, but it was like, the war profiteering's here too. What came out in the trial was that Rezko rounded up I guess it came to about $150 million power plant deal in Iraq. And he set it up with that Al-Samari, and the electricity manager in Iraq. Well, he had went to school with him in Chicago. So it came out in court documents that he supposedly paid this Al-Samari $1.5 million bribe for involving that contract, and he also got another $50 million contract to train security guards for power plants in Iraq. Okay, both of those are canceled now. I mean, Al-Samari was arrested in Iraq. He was convicted. He's the head of the FBI in Iraq has testified in government hearings this spring and told that there was $2 billion missing from when Al-Samari, for the 2 years that he served as electricity manager and electricity, the head of electricity in Iraq.
Right.
And so anyhow, how it came back to this then, and it is because of the Rezko trial that all this stuff came out, leaked out, and by following it was where I would find leads to go look at more. Well, how Obama fit into this, Rezko set up this company, say for that, and the media reported that Ouchi was in on this power plant deal with Rezko. Well, that fit because there were early media reports about him being involved in the telecommunication contracts over in Iraq that there was bribes and payoffs to get those. Those were already under investigation. So
the cell phone caper.
Pardon?
The cell phone caper, I believe it was.
Right. So, I mean, this was old news, okay, as far as Ouchi. But Rezko being involved in this deal, it came out in court that Rezko didn't have any company or nothing, no assets to get these contracts in Iraq. He had absolutely nothing. His lawyer sat there in court and told the judge they were down defunct, those contracts, but really what it was that he didn't have any assets or nothing for this business. All he understood it was that the Iraqi government, which was signed off on by Al-Samari, would just send him a line of credit, a letter of credit, and that would enable him to, purchase everything. And when they got that letter of credit, then they were just going to get somebody to provide these services. So here's a guy that was able to arrange $150 million reconstruction contract in Iraq and had no company to back it up. Then the one for the training the guards, that he threw together with this ex-Chicago cop named Daniel Frawley, and that too. The address for the company was the Frawley's sister's house over in LaGrange, Illinois. There wasn't nothing to that company either. A $50 million contract. Well, by the time it came time that this contract, they were looking into it, Al-Samari was getting arrested over there in Iraq for being a crook for the 2 years that he was the Iraqi minister there and signed these contracts. Well, right about this time, Frawley